On the battlefield, M18 Hellcat tank destroyers failed. The M18 Hellcat tank destroyer sacrificed armor protection for speed and firepower, and it ultimately fell short of the German tanks developed late in the war. Hey guys, welcome to our channel Alpha Tanks, where we tell you about military tanks, from the most famous World War II battle tanks to the most advanced MBTs at present. So stay with us till the end of this video so you don't miss out on any of this information. But before we proceed, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon so that you don't miss out on any of our amazing videos in the future. And let's jump in. Existing U.S. Army tactical doctrine called for a cordon of towed anti-tank guns to defend against an enemy tank attack, but Army planners studying the Battle of France in May of that year realized that such a plan was out of date and would likely fail to thwart a large-scale armor attack. One of the main concerns was that infantry without reliable anti-tank capabilities would likely panic when confronted with a large number of enemy tanks bearing down on them. In April 1941, Army Chief of Staff George C. Marshall tasked his subordinates with devising a strategy for countering massed armor attacks with specialized mobile anti-tank units. Marshall expected the special formations to be able to move quickly enough to prevent a breach by enemy armor attempting a blitzkrieg attack. Marshall tasked Lieutenant Colonel Andrew D. Bruce of the War Department's G3 office with establishing the mobile anti-tank force. That month, the U.S. Army Ordnance Department issued an immediate call for a tank destroyer with a 37mm gun. Following that, the Army authorized the development of the M6 37mm gun motor carriage and the M3 75mm GMC. The former carried a 37mm gun that fired over the back of a standard 3/4-ton truck, while the latter carried a French 75mm gun from World War I that fired over the front of an M3 half-track. The first design, the M3 75mm GMC, was fielded, and the Army began using it in war games shortly after it was delivered in October. Because of the change in tactical doctrine, the Army changed the phraseology from anti-tank to tank destroyer at the time. Bruce, on the other hand, was dissatisfied with these ideas. He envisioned a tracked vehicle that would be faster and equipped with a more powerful gun than enemy tanks. Bruce believed that this could be accomplished by equipping such a vehicle with very light armor in order to not impede its speed. Soon after the U.S. declared war on Japan and Germany in December 1941, the Army issued a requirement for what would become the M18 tank destroyer in early 1942. The M18 was manufactured by General Motors' Buick Motor Division. Buick's Public Relations Department came up with the catchy name Hellcat for the tank destroyer. In November 1943, the initial requirement for M18 tank destroyers was 1,000 units. The Army awarded a second contract for 1,800 more when Buick completed these in January 1944. During WW2, Buick produced a total of 2,507 M18s. The new M18 design included several labor-saving maintenance features. Remove a large access plate from the front of the hull, disconnect the drivetrain from the driveshaft, attach extension rails to the drivetrain mounting, and slide the entire assembly out of the hull on the rails. It was possible to slide the engine out onto a rail system integrated with the rear hull access door to gain access to the engine's bottom without having to remove it completely from the hull. The 900T Torque-Matic transmission had 3 forward gears with speeds ranging from up to 16 miles per hour, 12 to 34 mph, and 30 to 60 mph, corresponding to cruising speeds of 12, 25, and 45 mph respectively, and 1 reverse gear with a speed of 20 mph. The engine speed was regulated so that the vehicle could not normally exceed 55 mph in third gear. The M18 had a 5-man crew that included a commander, gunner, loader, driver, and assistant driver. The driver and his assistant were seated in the hull's front left and right corners respectively. The driver and assistant driver were given identical sets of controls, and while either could operate the vehicle, only the driver's set of steering levers could be used as parking brakes. The turret housed the commander, gunner, and loader, with the commander in the left rear, the gunner in the left front, and the loader on the right. Seats were provided for the commander, gunner, and loader, and the commander could stand on his seat to operate the 50 caliber M2 Browning machine gun mounted on a flexible ring mount on the left rear of the turret. The turret was outfitted with an SCR 610 radio. The hull floor directly beneath the turret was equipped with an escape hatch. Unlike the M10 and M36 tank destroyers, which used the M4 Sherman's heavy chassis, the M18 Hellcat was designed from the start to be a fast tank destroyer. As a result, while carrying the same gun as the Sherman 76mm models, it was smaller, lighter, more comfortable, and significantly faster. Using an electro-hydraulic traverse mechanism, the turret could rotate 360 degrees in 24 seconds, and the 76mm gun could depress and elevate 10 degrees. The top rate of fire was 20 rounds per minute. The gun's breech block was tilted 45 degrees to the right to help the gunner manipulate and insert ammunition in the turret's confined space. There were 45 rounds of main gun ammunition, 9 inches the turret to the right of the gun, and 18 in each sponson. A 50 caliber M2 Browning machine gun with 800 rounds of ammunition was mounted in a flexible ring mount on the left rear of the turret. Each crew member was given an M1 carbine with 90 rounds for self-defense, as well as 6 MK2 grenades, 6 M50 white phosphorus smoke grenades, and 6 smoke pots. The M18's 76mm gun performed inconsistently against the thick and steeply sloped frontal armor of later German designs such as the Tiger and Panther. The main gun's performance was somewhat improved with high-velocity armor-piercing ammunition, which allowed the 76mm gun to achieve greater armor penetration beginning in fall 1944, but this was never widely available. The 76mm gun with standard ammunition could only penetrate the frontal turret armor of Panther tanks at very close ranges, whereas the HVAP ammunition allowed it to engage some of the heavier German tanks and theoretically penetrate the front of the Panther turret at ranges of around 1,000 meters. The M18 Hellcat's armor was light to allow for its high speed and only provided protection from small arms fire. The lower hull armor was 12.7 millimeters thick all around, vertical on the sides but sloped 35 degrees from vertical at the lower rear and angled twice at the lower front to form a nearly rounded shape, 53 degrees from vertical and then 24 degrees from vertical. The floor of the hull was only 4.8 millimeters thick. The upper front hull was also angled to form the Hellcat's sloping glacis, with 2 plates angled at 38 and 64 degrees from vertical, respectively. The upper hull armor was also 12.7 millimeters thick, angled at 23 degrees from vertical on the sides and 13 degrees from vertical at the back. The hull roof thickness was 7.9 millimeters. The Hellcat's cast turret was 25.4 millimeters thick in the front and 12.7 millimeters thick in the sides and rear. The front of the turret was further protected by a 19mm thick rounded cast gun mantlet. Another disadvantage of the M18 was its thin armor protection and open-top turret. In testing for possible use as a light tank, 9 out of 30 armor-piercing 30 caliber bullets penetrated the side of the turret at a range of 75 yards. The open-topped turret, a feature shared by all American tank destroyers, left the crew vulnerable to snipers, grenades, and shell fragments, but it provided excellent visibility, which was critical in tank killing, as tank destroyers were designed to be ambush weapons. The doctrinal priority of high speed at the expense of armor protection resulted in a relatively unbalanced design. While the M18 was capable of high road speeds, it was difficult to use this feature effectively in combat. Although sustained high-speed travel was rarely used outside of the Allied response during the Battle of the Bulge, most Hellcat crews found the higher speeds especially useful in a sprint to flank German tanks with relatively slow turret traverse speeds, allowing the tank destroyer crew to direct a shot into the enemy's thinner side or rear armor. The open top gave the TD crews significantly better visibility than their opponents, many of whom were German tank destroyers without revolving turrets and were handicapped by poor lateral visibility. In general, Hellcat crews praised their vehicle's performance and capabilities, but they did complain that the open top created a cold interior in the northern European winter of 1944-45. This problem was exacerbated because the air-cooled engine drew some of its cooling air through the crew compartment, creating in effect a large armor-plated refrigerator. It proved impossible to seal off the crew compartment entirely from engine-induced drafts. And that's for today's video. We sincerely hope you enjoyed the video. If so, give it a like and share it with your friends and family. Let us know if you have any questions or comments in the section below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to see more of our incredible videos. You can also watch our other videos that have been specially selected for you. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.